Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Allie, and this is podcast episode number 7. In today's podcast episode, I have one finished object to talk about, as well as some work in progresses, a new cast on, and also some yarn acquisitions. I am super excited to be back to talking about my knits. I took kind of an unintentional small break. I don't know, the knitting vibe just was not hitting me for like 2 weeks, and so I only had minuscule progress on some projects, and I just I don't know what was happening. I guess I just needed to slow down for a little bit, which was totally fine, and I'm glad that I did and did not force myself because I am back. I am back in my knitting vibe. I feel like I am flying through yarn, flying through some of my works and progresses that have been on the needles for over a month now. So I'm super excited to start talking about them today. 2 of them are projects I have mentioned in previous podcasts, and one is a new cast on that I'm so excited to share because I not only am really excited to make this pattern, but I am in love with the yarn. So let's get started with my finished object. So my finished object is my cardigan from my last podcast, and I think the podcast before, my hiii cardigan. It is a, well, let me show you first and then I will talk about it. So this is what it looks like on the hanger. I really love it. And I just have to talk about how beautifully it blocked before we even get into it, because it just blocked so good. The stitches look so good. I have to brag. But the hiii cardigan is worked from the bottom up cardigan with this beautiful eyelet lace detail on the 2 front panels here. But other than that, it is just a normal stockinette cardigan, which I really love. I wanted something with a little bit more than just stockinette, since I have done my last cardigan that I did was the Darling cardigan, and I love it so much, but it's just a simple stockinette. But I wanted something a little bit more elegant, a little bit more springy, warm weathery, but I wasn't exactly ready to go back to my Koi cardigan that I started working on in the beginning of the year. I really enjoy that cardigan, and I love how it looks, but sitting down and having to work through 3 charts, for every other round is it's not a casual project, and that's okay. Not everything has to be, but this one was kind of like that sweet middle section. It's not just stockinette, but it's not, everything has lace, everything has eyelets, everything has a chart. It was just these 2 front panels, which was really nice. So for this cardigan, you work from the bottom up and you start with the ribbing. So the entire body is worked on 4.5 millimeter needles. Sorry if you hear my cat, she's sitting in front of me playing with her toy. But you start with the ribbing, and then you work flat until the underarm section, so where you break for the underarms. And at that point, then you split the entire cardigan into 3 parts. You have a left front, a right front, and then a back. And then you work each front, and then you work the backs. And on each part of the front, there are some German shirt rows up at the top for shoulder shaping, and the same with the back as well. And then you bind off to connect. We'll use a 3 needle bind off to connect the back and the front. And then after you are done the entire body, then you use a 3.75 millimeter hook to do the button band, which you pick up along the entire front pieces and back. And then you go on to the sleeves. So it's a pretty simple construction. I know I was a little bit worried about the working from the bottom up, since it is a bit hard to try on the length, but I think with this versus my Darling wrap that I made, it is so much easier to really kind of get the gauge of the length. Because yes, this cardigan does have lace that kind of needs to be blocked to get the full effect and the full kind of sizing that it will end up to be, but it is only this small portion, and it's not going to affect the length as much more as it is going to affect the width. So it was very easy to try on as I went, especially once it got broken into the different pieces at the underarm, because not everything was on one needle and it was very easy to try on. So I am really glad that I went ahead and made this cardigan, because I think it's just so pretty for spring and summer too, but I think with the pink that I've done, it's just spring. The yarn that I use is Drops Lima in the color, I literally just saw what the color was because I wrote it in my Ravelry. I believe it's Dusty Rose, perhaps? I'll pop it somewhere on the screen. But it is a DK weight yarn, and this is my second time using Drops Lima. I used Drops Lima Deep Taupe, I think it's taupe, for my October sweater. And I really love the stitch definition that it gave, and so that's why I chose to use my pink version of this for the this cardigan, because I knew I wanted something with really nice stitch definition for the little lace details, and I knew from just working with that this yarn was going to give me that. So let me see if I can show you some up close little details here. It's like so crisp. I really, really enjoy it. And I'm sorry if the lighting is changing. It is very gloomy and rainy outside, but I'm trying my best with the lighting. So yeah, it is a really simple cardigan, but again, with this little eyelet lace in the front, I think it just adds the little bit of, like, you know, elegance and cuteness that I wanted instead of just another plain cardigan. And there's nothing wrong with plain cardigans, and I will probably end up making another plain cardigan soon, but I think having the option to have something a little bit more elegant, a little bit more dainty, for kind of the nicer weather is really what I wanted out of this cardigan. I do have one kind of, I don't know how to describe it, confusion a little bit with the sleeve section. So in the pattern, the sleeves, it's recommended to pick up 84 stitches, and it kind of says every 5 out of 7 stitches, and then it goes on to say that you don't exactly need 84 stitches, but as long as you can get around there. So I went ahead and I did the recommended 84 stitches. And I think if I were to make this cardigan again, I would probably go down a few stitches, because I think the 84 is just a smidge too much. I might even do like 80. It's not enough to make me want to frog, and it didn't make me want to frog when I was doing it. But the sleeves are a bit wide, just mainly at the top section. I don't know, yeah, you can kind of see they kind of bunch down at the bottom there, but when I have it on, you can't really tell too much, and I think the more that I wear it, the more the shape will kind of fix itself out, wear it and block it some more. But that is one thing that I did note in my project notes on Ravelry. If you are to ever go look at my project notes, that is something that I noted, because even here at like the top, you can see it kind of like puffs out a little bit, but it's not really anything that I believe is frog worthy. So that is the Isa cardigan. Hey, this is editing me here. I wanted to pop in because I completely forgot to talk about the modification that I did to the sleeves. So I ended up making the sleeves a little bit longer than written in the pattern, simply because I like a longer sleeve. I do not particularly enjoy a sleeve that ends like at my wrist or above. So I added 10 rows after the like initial decreases were done, and then I did my final decrease before going into the ribbing. The ribbing is quite long, but I knew that I wanted the sleeves to be a little bit longer because I tried it on after the decreases and I knew that the ribbing was not going to hit where I wanted it to hit. So I added 10 more rows for each sleeve. Now we can talk about my works in progresses. So my first work in progress that I want to talk about is my zipper sweater. I have finished the body and the sleeves since the last time we talked, and this is what it looks like. I really like it. I really like the colors that I chose. I think this is exactly what I had envisioned for color-wise when I made my Make 9 video, and there was a very similar kind of pullover striped sweater on there, and I believe I even mentioned like a brown and a cream, so I am staying true to my word with that, a neutral sweater. So the only thing I have left to do is pick up the collar and the whole, like, there's a double, like where the zipper is, there's a big double knitted band there where you will connect the zipper. So those are the only two things I have left, and I'm really excited. So this is a project that I am working on with my best friend. We are doing a knit along. This project was technically supposed to be finished on May 15th, but we kind of gave ourselves some grace and just said, you know, let's just work on it as we please and finish when we finish. We're very close. I am waiting for her to finish her sleeve, and she is on her last stripe, so she's almost done, and then we will pick up the button, the zipper band and the collar, and then it will be ready for blocking. So I really like the construction of this. It is a drop shoulder, so you start in the back with a back panel, and then you pick up stitches along the shoulder to make front panels, and then you connect them all together and work in the round. So that's really nice. I like the stripe length and the width, I guess, more the width than the length. It's very nice. It gives just kind of like a very classic polo pullover, kind of like Ralph Lauren vibes. And that's exactly what I wanted when I picked this pattern. Wow, words are hard. And then after you are done with the body, you move on to the sleeves. And these sleeves also are quite large. And I was looking through pattern notes on Ravelry after I picked up stitches. So I think for my size small, you have to pick up 118 stitches. It works out to be one in every stitch along the armhole, which is what it says in the pattern. And I believe I even skipped like maybe one or two to get that 118. So the sleeves are quite large, and I believe it is supposed to be that way. So I am interested to see how this blocks out, because when I tried it on, the body is not as loose as I had imagined it to be. So it's not like tight, it's not, there's no negative ease or anything, but I guess in the pictures it seemed a lot looser, but it doesn't specify what the creator or model is wearing in the photos. So I know that's a problem sometimes with patterns, especially patterns that are meant to be oversized. A lot of times they will wear several sizes up to what they are actually wearing, what their actual size is, and make it look quite oversized instead of how it, I guess, typically will be with the positive ease. So I am a little interested to see. I think it'll block out really well. I don't think, again, it's not tight. It's not like form-fitting or anything, but I guess in comparison to the sleeves, I wish the body was had a little bit more positive ease. And I think once it blocks, it will bloom quite a lot. I'm using a 50-50 wool and alpaca blend, so I believe it'll, grow a bit. So I'm not too worried. It's just something that I noticed, and it is the same with my best friend's as well. She has the same problem where the sleeves are almost like comically oversized and the body is not as oversized, but we are really hoping that once it blocks, it'll all even out. We did both hit gauge, so hopefully things work out. I will say I really, really like the yarn choice. So this was my very first time using Isager yarn, and I have been eyeing it for quite some time. I actually have had it in my list of yarns to try ever since I watched Amy over at Knits make something out of the Isekai yarn. I thought it looked beautiful and the drape looked really nice, and she talked highly of it, and I knew one of my local yarn shops nearby had it, and so when I went to pick out yarns for this sweater, I knew I wanted to give it a try, and they had some really nice colors, and they happened to have the two colors that I was already eyeing, so I'm very happy with them, and I really like, there's like a small fuzz, I'm not sure it'll show up on camera. Let me see if I can get a darker stripe here. But there's like a little bit of fuzz to it, but it's not like, I wouldn't call it fuzzy. It's not as if you were holding a mohair, but it does have a little bit of fuzz, I guess from the alpaca, which is really nice because I didn't want it like super fuzzy, but I think the soft little bit of fuzz that it gives is really nice. I am holding, it is a fingering weight yarn, so I am holding it double to meet the DK gauge, which is a choice by me doing stripes. I thought about doing the helico knitting. I don't exactly know how to say it, but where you don't have to cut the yarn, but I don't exactly want to work with 4 skeins of yarn every time that I pick up this sweater. So I decided to just cut my yarn, and I will have to go back in and weave the ends, which I already have weaved in almost all my ends except my final sleeve that I just finished recently. So it's not the end of the world, but it's just something, it's a choice that I made for sure. As someone who does not like weaving in ends, it is a choice. But that being said, I definitely really enjoy the drape that this yarn gives, and I think once it's blocked as well, it'll be even drapier, because this is obviously not necessarily a warm weather knit. It is an oversized, full pullover, but I think this can still be one that I can wear in warm weather, like in the mornings when it's still chilly, or at night if I go out in the evenings, I can pull this on, and it's not going to be, I'm not going to be sweating to death 5 minutes in. Even though it is a full sweater, but it is very light and it is very airy, and the drape that this gives is just beautiful. So that is my update on the zipper sweater, and hopefully next time that we talk, I will have it all done, since I just have the whole collar and zipper band left to do. Okay, next I want to talk about my new cast-on / my new work in progress. I am making the My Little Secret crop top by Jessie Made Designs. It is one that I had mentioned that I wanted to make, and I wanted to make with this specific yarn that I had, and I have finally cast it on. So this is what it looks like so far. I just cast it on like 2 days ago, so I haven't gotten too much progress yet, but I think I've gotten decent progress. So this is what it looks like. It's kind of hard to see because it is a 3x3 rib, but this is what I got going on. It looks so small, but I really, really like the way this yarn is working out. So I am using my Miss Babs yarn that I got at the Carolina Fiber Festival. This is a fingering weight superwash yarn. It has this gorgeous gradient to it, and it also has, I don't know if the camera will pick it up since it's not sunny, but it does have some really subtle sparkles in it. I have pictures, more clear pictures on my Instagram of the beautiful sparkle if you are interested. But yeah, I think it's working out really prettily, and it's just exactly what I wanted to use with this yarn. I knew I wanted to make a garment, but I wasn't necessarily sure I was fully committed to a sweater, because I'm not typically a variegated yarn person, but I want to be a variegated yarn person. So I am working on incorporating it more into my wardrobe, and I think with a smaller crop top, I think that's exactly where I wanted to start, and I do not regret it one bit. So this pattern is worked from the bottom up. You start with a small 1x1 rib here down at the end on 3.25 needles, and then you switch to 3.75 needles and you begin working the 3x3 rib for the body. So it's an all-over rib construction, which I really enjoy. I've been really into rib things lately, and especially like big rib like this. Oh, I love it. So I'm really excited to see how this turns out. And again, I really love the yarn. It is so soft and squishy, and those little bits of like sparkle in there are not itchy. They don't feel itchy, they don't feel scratchy. So I'm very hopeful that they will still feel that way when I actually wear the garment. I am holding these double because this is a fingering weight, and this is kind of a DK / worsted gauge pattern. It is not imperative that we hit gauge according to the design, but I did hit gauge for this, and I'm making a size small. So I'm super excited. I think one thing I know that I'm going to change about the pattern is I'm going to make it just a smidge longer. I think probably maybe an inch or two. I'll have to try it on, but I know I don't want it to be like a super small crop top. I kind of want it to hit right where my like waist ends. So I think I will probably make it about an inch or two longer depending on where it ends up after I stop the body and go for the splits from the front and the back. So we'll see how that goes. But I am super excited, and after I'm done filming this video, I'm going to go work on it because I'm ready to get it done and be able to wear it. This is a superwash yarn, and this is my second time working with superwash yarn, so I'm a little bit nervous. I'm a little bit scared to see how it's going to work up. When I did my gauge swatch, it didn't bloom like a ton amount, so I'm hopeful that it does the same as a garment, but that's another reason why I thought this yarn would be perfect for a crop top or a tank top for the summer, is something that I can easily throw in the washer and not have to worry about it if it gets, a little sweaty or a little gross from the hot weather outside. So yeah, that is my little secret crop top in this absolutely gorgeous yarn by Miss Babs. I believe this is called Spring at Pollen Park. It is a special dye lot for the Carolina Fiber Festival that happened earlier in March. So I'm really happy that I get to use this yarn, and I believe I will still have some left over too, so I'll have to figure out something else to do with it. I have 3 skeins, and I'm holding a double, but I have a feeling that I will not use all of this. They're quite hefty hanks. I think they're about like 400 meters in each hank, so I'll have to see how much I have left, but I do have a whole other skein, so I am not worried about running out of yarn for once in my life here. In my knitting career, I'm not worried about running out of yarn. So yeah. Okay, the very last thing that I want to talk about is a yarn acquisition that I have recently got, and I'm so excited to share this find. So near me there is a craft thrift store that I like to go to, and they have a whole bunch of like literally every kind of craft thing that you could ever imagine. But I typically go there to kind of peruse the yarn section. People come and donate their yarn, or like craft stores can come donate their yarn too. It is really nice. They always have a really big selection, but most of the time it is acrylic yarn, which is totally fine, but sometimes they do have what they call fancy yarn, and I was able to snag up some of this beautiful Patons lace. Oh, look at the color. It is just so pretty. This is a sport weight lace. It is 80% acrylic, 10% mohair, and 10% wool. And I wasn't exactly going to get this because I was like, there's only one skein and I didn't have a plan for it. But as I was walking around the store some more, I just could not stop thinking about it. So I went back and got it. It was $4 for it's quite a big skein. It's 85 grams, but it doesn't say how much it has in it. It has 498 yards in it, so it is quite hefty. So I'm hoping to be able to do something with this yarn. I do have the purple yarn from Cascades that I'm using for my koi cardigan. And if I have any left over, this is like pretty much the exact same color. So I'll probably do something with that. But I could not pass this up. I have never seen this before. I believe it is a bit of an older product. I'm not sure. I only know of like the Patton's like sock yarn that they used to sell at Joann's. Goodbye, Joann's. I will miss you. But I've never seen this before, so I am really happy that I snagged it up and am able to get to work with it. So yeah, if you have any ideas, I would love to know. Again, it is one skein. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know. I'll find, I know there's a perfect pattern out there for this. I know there is, but I could not resist. And for only $4, I can't beat it. But yeah, it is just this gorgeous, gorgeous purple. I love it. And I like that it's not like, I like that there's wool and mohair in it, but I like that it's a more like actual proper yarn. Not saying that mohair isn't, but it has a bit more structure to it. So if I wanted to use this on its own for something small, I could, which I really like. So, or I could pair it with another mohair because I do have more purple mohair, and it could just be a whole big fuzzy fun time. But yeah, I couldn't resist, and for $4, I couldn't go wrong. And that is all I have to share for today's podcast. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to be back sooner rather than later once again with another podcast. But I think I am really trying to make an effort to not knit for content and knit for myself, and the content comes with it and not for it. So I'm trying to be really conscious of this. This is definitely my hobby, and I always want it to be my hobby. I don't want it to turn into something that I feel as though I have to do for work. So if updates seem sporadic, that is probably why. But thank you so much for watching. You can follow me over on Instagram for more somewhat frequenter updates over on there. I typically post my finished objects there first before making a video, and also work in progresses, and also other things that I find I will repost on there as well. If you want to check out any of my projects, I do have a Ravelry that you can go check the project notes. I will link all those down below. But thank you so much for watching again. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe and like the video. That would really help me out a lot. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!